Hello, it's a dark night in London. I'm here for one of my stories, a podcast about the stories shaping me. Tonight we are discussing one of my favorite childhood time travel movies, The Amazing Mr. Blunden. And I need help to right these ancient wrongs, so I need to bring in my hosts. There will be 3 of us total tonight. We 3 kings of Orient are, gentlemen. Ho, ho, ho! First off, we've got the expert on all things time travel, my podcast brother. He's the host of the Sweet Child of Time podcast. He's Steve Barnes, or Introvoid. Jolly good, Steve.
Hello, it's me, little Stevie. Oh, I didn't know we were going to do voices. This is fun. I want to do this the whole time. This is what I planned on doing. Hi, Lindsey. This is great.
I'm glad to have you here.
I'm an expert.
And next off, joining us from the halls of time, a voice from the past. He's been gone from one of my stories since February 1st, when we subjected him to Jesus Christ Superstar. But he's never far from my mind or my DMs. It's the Void Master himself, Nate Dunn. Cheerio, Nate.
Did you like that? That was my Wiccans impression.
That was great.
It must have been Mr. Wiccans, I guess, then.
Well, yeah, of course.
Not Mrs. Wiccans.
I just stared menacingly at the camera.
It was very effective, very effective.
I was afraid you were frozen again, Nate. I was like, no, not again.
Well, I did a good job then. I'm a good actor.
No, I'm not going to do a British accent the whole show, although that would be fun.
Very fun.
But
Jolly fun.
We're going to talk about a movie. But first, I want a check-in from Nate.
Yes.
Nate, we need to know what you've been up to. Any updates, life updates, music updates, etc.
So I have finished my working season, so I am currently laid off to indulge in as many different podcasts that you guys would want me to be a part of.
Hooray!
Been jamming with some guys out here in the Pittsburgh area, and Voidmaster has an album on the way in 2025 entitled The Dank Arts.
Instead of the dark arts.
Instead of the dark arts.
I mean, I'll take dank arts over dark arts any day. This is great. This is good news. Is this like all new material, all new riffs?
It is all new stuff. It'll be about
excellent news, man. This is great.
6 songs, and it's a little bit slow going because the other 2 guys are still back in Philadelphia. They have their own lives and stuff like that. And with the winter coming up, travel might be a little challenging, but the plan is for like late 2025 to have the album out. So, but it's good to be back.
So one thing I wanted to share as an update. Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't realize you were didn't mean to cut you off there.
No. I just said it was good to be back.
Yeah, we've missed you. We really have.
The last couple of things that, we've been trying to get you involved with. We were sad you weren't with us, but you gave us permission to go ahead without you. We're going to be hitting you up again, though. I don't know if, I say we collectively, because I assume Lindsey's on my side, but I know I'll be hitting you up to try to get some more time travel movies, because I enjoyed this one, Lindsey. I'm really glad you brought this to the helm here. Not to try to bring us like back home or anything like that, but that's what I like to do, is talk about time travel movies and TV shows and stuff. And so it's good that Nate's back in the fold and he's not quite so busy anymore, which I know he had a real busy season. Prosperous? Was it a nice, busy, prosperous season, Nate?
Yeah, it was fairly prosperous.
I mean, would Mr. Blunden be proud?
Oh, Mr. Blunden would be so proud. I drank lots of brown liquid. It was a good season.
Lots of time traveling.
Okay, well, before we get too far into Mr. Blunden, which, of course, I'm anxious to do as well, I did want to share an update with the 2 of you that I've been kind of saving because, we've had our podcast about Wawa, and there were some discussions of Sheets in there. But there was also this add-on from the Peanut Gallery about Buc-ee's and how Buc-ee's is so great.
Right.
And when I went to Florida in July, one of my favorite things about this is we got to stop at a Buc-ee's. And so I just wanted to share with you guys that I have now been to Buc-ee's. I don't think, have either one of you been to one yet?
I have.
I have not.
I was really pleased with Buc-ee's because it was like a little miniature grocery store. Like you could get like frozen meal, like you would go to like the grocery aisle and get like a frozen meal or something like that. They had those at Buggy's, except they weren't frozen. It was all like fresh stuff. And it's like, I hate to say it, Nate, almost better than like Wawa and Sheets. What did you think, Lindsay? Did you think it like, how did you think it compared?
Well, the amount of food items is really impressive. I also, they had iced coffee that I really like. They had these brisket sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
They had, lots of stuff. In fact, I found a video from some guy that ate nothing but Buc-ee's for a week. And I think he spent a lot of money that week.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty entertaining video. And it just goes to show the variety of items they have there. We stopped there twice. Once was on the way, and it was about like 8 a.m. That was a great time to go on a Tuesday. The second time we went was on a Sunday at 3 p.m., and that was a horrible time to go.
Okay.
So
sure.
There was just so many people, you almost couldn't walk anywhere that second time. But if you go, if you ever get a chance to go like during the weekday when it's not so busy, I think it is a great experience. And if that ever happened, we could do another show. There's supposed to be a Buc-ee's coming to North Carolina at a city called Mebane, which is about, half an hour to the west of me, sort of on the way to Greensboro.
Mm-hmm.
So that it'll be interesting when that opens, because right now the closest one is in Florence, South Carolina. So it's kind of down there.
I thought there was one in Virginia that was on your end, but maybe not. The one that I know about is from when Charlotte and myself, my daughter, would travel for roller skating. And it was a Buc-ee's that was, I don't know if it was in Ohio or Nebraska that we were staying next to.
There's one in Kentucky.
Oh, is it the closest one? Are you being our researcher down there?
I looked it up before because one of my friends actually had said, "Would you want a road trip to Buc-ee's?" And I was like, I guess if we can find something else to do.
I mean, that sounds interesting to me because it's like, I wouldn't want a road trip to like a Wawa or a Sheetz. I mean, it's a gas station. It's like a grocery store. It's like a convenience item. I don't see it as a destination stop. What I was going to say is with the Buc-ee's that we stayed next to was, I'm a vegetarian, so my options are limited. But if I was not a vegetarian, I was looking at all the different stuff they had. Like you said, brisket, barbecue, chicken, all of it fresh, like with expiration dates on it and like well-made, well-maintained. The weird thing about the one that I was at was like around the side of the Buc-ee's was where all the DoorDash and Uber drivers and those type of drivers would sit and wait for orders. So like you couldn't get a spot on one side of the Buc-ee's because it was taken over by like 8 people that were like waiting for DoorDash orders. And then the order would come in and they'd all like run to get it. But like I said, destination, I don't know. I mean, I'll do it. Sure.
I mean, you're talking to a girl that once made a destination out of going to south of the border, not the Mexico, but the place,
between
I hope you know what south of the border is, but
yeah.
I did that in February one day when it was like I had a day off of school and I was like, didn't have anything to do. So I drove to south of the border. But, I was also younger then, so I get what you're saying. Nate, you might want to pair it with something like, I'm going to do this and this other thing, or I'm going to play a concert.
Exactly. Go see a band at a club, stop at a Buc-ee's on the way.
Mm-hmm.
There's some distilleries I figured I would visit.
Yeah, but we're not here to talk about Buc-ee's.
We're not?
No.
This is not the Buc-ee cast?
So we're going to now transition to our discussion of The Amazing Mr. Blunden.
Perfect.
And this is a movie I suggested to Steve and Nate because it's one of my favorite childhood time travel movies, and it's one Steve had never seen. So I thought, hey, I need to see what he thinks of this. Is it, get his evaluation. So many people may have not seen the movie before, unless you're British or Australian or you watch a lot of BBC as a child in the 1970s. So I'm going to start by just giving a description of the movie, and then I'll talk about why I wanted, my history with the movie. So here's the description. It's a grungy night in smoggy London, 1918. Mr. Blunden visits the home of the Allen family, consisting of the newly widowed Mrs. Allen, Lucy, Jamie, and little Benjamin. He offers Mrs. Allen the opportunity to take a job as a caretaker of an old derelict country manor called Langley Park. Once she's out of the room, he asks the two eldest children to help him correct a wrong he committed 100 years ago. He leaves the details fuzzy, but assures them they will know what to do when the time is right. Our adventures with Mr. Blunden and these two children, Lucy and Jamie, will involve ghosts, time travel, magic potions, sentient libraries, attempted murder by poison, attempted insurance fraud, romance, and hidden heritage. It's a BBC moment come to life.
Nice.
So I obviously left kind of what happens out of that because I want to start with spoiler free. Yes. So my history with the movie started back, when I was 11, 12 or so. I was asking my mother, how did we find this movie? And nobody can remember. But at one point, it was recorded on this old VHS tape we had.
Classic. Okay, yeah.
So what that tells me is that we planned to record it. So I think we'd already seen it at one point, whether it was we had checked it out from the library or someone else told us about it. And then we knew it was coming back on. And so we planned that we were going to record it because that's how we did VHS tapes. And it was a movie that was allowed in the Dunn household because it was, it's a fairly clean movie, but it also was on that borderline between being a ghost story, being sort of horror-esque, which was appealing, of course, to my sister. And in a ways, it's a lot like the movie A Christmas Carol. Okay. And so I think that it was just something that we watched, and I don't think I thought too much of it at the time. I was like, oh, isn't this nice? But when I moved to North Carolina, my older sister, which many people in the podcast have heard me talk about, she talked to me and she was complaining about the fact that she couldn't watch Mr. Blunden anymore. And I asked her, well, what about the VHS tape? Uh-huh. It got lost. But it wasn't something you could buy online, like on Amazon. You in the past, the BBC would broadcast this on holidays. So Easter, Christmas, it would be something that would be screened. So that would translate to us probably for like PBS channel. And then Amazon used to sell VHS editions, but they only worked in Region 2 players, which are for people in the British. So they work for British people. Okay, but they wouldn't play in our machines. So the only hope for watching this movie was to find bootlegged copies of scenes on YouTube or somebody, to have pity on us and put it on some, illegal site.
Yeah, hand you a flash drive, sure.
So it was one of these movies that I would go on Amazon regularly and just see, has anything changed with this? And then one day it came to Prime, but it wasn't the edition that the three of us watched today or for this podcast because it was a rattier copy. It was missing a lot of scenes. But it was like the best version I'd seen in a while, and you could watch it in its entirety. But it was this one is an hour and 39 minutes, I think.
Sounds about right, yeah.
And that one was only about a little over an hour. So it was missing 20 minutes of the plot.
I mean, it could have been edited down a little bit. I think that's not a bad thing.
So it's kind of like a rarity, or when things aren't available, they become more desirable.
Absolutely, sure.
So that's kind of why I wanted to revisit it. And also, Steve had me watch his favorite time travel movies like Time Bandit.
That's right.
So now I want to turn to you guys, and I'm wondering if you've heard of this movie before, seen it, and if not, did it remind you of anything you have seen before? Who wants to go first?
I want to defer to Nate. Every time you ask us a question, let Nate go first, because that seems like I always take up a lot of mic time. So I want Nate to go first every time.
Okay. So initially, my first thought upon seeing it was it kind of reminded me of The Sound of Music, because it was filmed in the 70s and it had a bunch of annoying British children. No, I mean, the whole 70s aesthetic, of course, reminds me of the limited amount of 70s movies that I've seen. It did, because of the ghosts and the way that they were shot, kind of did make me think Christmas Carol. I've never heard of this movie before. not even once, but I do have an inside expert source that I contacted who is my Aunt Sarah, who is from England. And I asked her, I was like, I'm doing a podcast. Have you ever heard of this movie? Did you watch this when you were a kid? And she said, yeah, me and my brothers used to watch that movie. And I was like, well, what did you think of it? And she said, I didn't really like it. So I was like, okay, high hopes going into this coming from someone that's from that area.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, when you pitched it, I had no idea. I was like, not once have I ever heard of something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've never heard of it either. It was a rarity to me. The people that are into it, because, I had to, of course, research it and look into it. The people that are into it are really into it, like yourself, Lindsey. I think maybe it was predominantly aired on PBS at a certain frame of time, and you just so happened to catch it at that moment. I love this. I loved it. Absolutely. I'm really glad you brought it to us. I'm anxious to see what childhood time travel movie Nate's going to bring to the table next time, since that seems to be the theme now. But what this movie reminded me of, it seems like a mashup between Oliver Twist, The Others, and Grey Gardens. Those are the three movies that really stuck with me. Oliver Twist, of course, because of the Britishness of it. Sir, you were talking like Oliver Twist earlier, Lindsey. And because it's an orphan, we got orphans in this movie. That's another Oliver Twisty thing. The Others, of course, is that Nicole Kidman movie, where she's with her children in this spooky house. There's ghosts involved in that movie too. And then Grey Gardens is a movie about two women, true story about two affluent women from an affluent family that ran out of money. They became terribly embarrassed with their fortune. And so they lived in this dilapidated mansion that was exactly like this house that they were looking after, complete with animals rummaging around and stuff. So those three movies put into a blender gives you Mr. Blunden. And, like I said, I'm really happy that you got us to watch this.
Okay, so what are your overall first impressions of the movie without going too much into details? Steve already said he liked it, but what were your thoughts about the movie? Nate, I guess you're up first, buddy.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible. I'm not sure if it was necessarily meant to be a higher I'm not going to say it's high production, even for the 70s. I'm not sure if it's one of those, what do they call them? The CD or the movie to DVD or whatever.
Yeah,
that's what it felt like.
Straight to video. Yeah.
Straight to video. That's right. It felt like one of those that someone had kind of put together and then it got aired and people were like, and then it just kind of got shushed along. Definitely not the worst movie I've ever seen. That would be ranging in the Jesus Christ Superstar range. But, and I also don't know if I would recommend it to someone, but if I had to watch it again, I wouldn't be bent out of shape about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I watched it twice and I was ready to watch it a third time with Heather. And if I was a kid and had it on VHS tape, I would watch it a lot. My overall impression was, of course I loved it. It kind of was right up my alley, really. It's it feels like I should have seen this movie. This seems like a movie that I would have watched as a kid, in English class with the lights out and my head on my desk. Seems like one of those kind of movies, or maybe staying home sick from school. And, back in the day, I'm an older gentleman. So, we only had 4 channels to choose from and 3 of them had soap operas on. And then the 4th one being PBS would always have something interesting like The Amazing Mr. Blunden on. And it seems like a perfect, staying home from sick, watching this movie kind of film. And it's I was wondering, you were saying straight to video. My first thought was this seems almost like Pulp Fiction-y, the kind of movie you can put out and expect to make your money back, because I didn't see a really big moral quandary, or it wasn't exactly a kids movie. It seemed like it was the kind of movie to keep a production going. We need to pump out 20 movies this year, keep all the cameramen in their paychecks. So let's get some more movies going. Who's got the next idea? Time travel? Okay, let's do this. So yeah, I got that impression too, Nate, but in a more endearing way. I saw it as very endearing.
Yeah, I think that it played well to a certain crowd is what I would say. homeschoolers would love this movie. And it's a safe family movie. I do feel that it's geared towards children, but they had on the cast some very well-known character actors.
Sure, yeah.
That would bring in the adults and make it not too painful for them. But it's interesting because if you do go online and you find some reviews of this, you find a lot of people who today are watching, kind of a lot of horror movies, a lot of grindhouse horror, and they talk about watching this as a kid and that it was like, if you catch this movie at the right age and at the right moment, you'll never forget it. And it's very true because I watched this as a youth, kind of forgot about it, although, I didn't really forget about it, but it wasn't like top of mind or front of mind. And then when I got to see it again, I was just enchanted. Again, the music, the scripts, I'm going to talk some more about, but the dialogue, it's geared for kids who had like good imaginations and weren't looking for the flashy bells and whistles of the movies that are kind of there today. So this might be a good time to transition into some production notes. So I did some research on kind of the making of and how it got made, who made it, etc. So it is based on a book called The Ghosts by Antonia Barber. The movie was released in 1972 and directed by Lionel Jeffries, who was a well-known character actor. Most notably, he was in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang playing the grandpa. He later directed a few films, most notably The Railway Children. So this was made right after the movie The Railway Children, which is also based on a book. So it's kind of, like I said, bringing in that age of children that are middle grade. So like, let's say 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. They're sort of, they're beyond like easy chapter books. They're not quite ready for a teen novel. So he did 3 more children's films after Mr. Blunden, and then he stopped after Star Wars made kids expect flashiness. So it was 1977. That was he saw that as the end of his career. Like, things have changed and the kids will never be happy with sort of like a patient movie that doesn't have a lot of special effects.
He's wrong.
It was shot at Pinewood Studios, which is near the village of Hedgerley in Buckinghamshire. And that doesn't maybe necessarily mean anything to us, but Langley Park itself was an estate called Heatherdale Hall. And the same home was in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the Bugsy Malone, which you guys might have seen. It's a musical version of Bugsy with Scott Baio and Jodie Foster, and they're all singing like they're gangsters. It's very funny. And also the James Bond movie From Russia with Love, plus a lot of other films that are British films filmed at that location. So it might look familiar, but they did make it look more raggedy, obviously, for this, since it's supposed to be run down. And it was originally scripted as a musical, but that idea was scrapped after the box office failure of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which of course we know today it was a cult classic, but at that when it was released, it didn't do very well. So they decided not to make a musical, which probably Nate is really happy about, that it wasn't Mr. Blunden the musical.
I probably would have said no.
The character that played Lucy, the blonde-haired woman with a child's brain, she had a couple of musical numbers. Like, of course, she was part of the little chorus line. But she also started trying to sing like the refrain of a song coming down the stairs at one point. I thought I wrote it down, but I don't see it here. But
ain't it pretty, Sarah Sue? Would it look the same on you?
There you go. You must have seen this one like 20 times if you had it on VHS tape.
Yes. So just like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, this one came out and was only moderately successful in theaters, but it became a huge hit in West Germany.
That means Baron Bo Odar was checking this one out, right?
Yeah. I read a very funny review on britishhorrorfilms.co.uk, and it said this movie was part of the bumper book of 70s family films. and including every Easter and Christmas holiday. It was trotted out on the schedule. If you watch this movie at the right age, it's magical. People credited kids with more imagination and patience. And a lot of the cast later went on to star in horror movies. So I'll stop there because I have that later for casting choices.
Okay.
But any thoughts about the production or any tidbits you guys want to bring in?
Nate?
No, but now, total tangent, total side note. I guess I didn't realize you said Mr. Blunden is the guy that was in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? Because that movie...
No, the director of this movie was the grandpa in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Okay. Because that movie was my whole childhood.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. That's cool.
Yeah, that's where I probably should have known that I wanted to work with vehicles and stuff like that. But anyway, sorry, that was total tangent. I don't have anything to contribute.
Yeah, I saw you give a thumbs up about Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. That really got your interest there.
One of my old roommates, Jimmy, was a really big Chitty Chitty Bang Bang fan and had that on VHS and would put it in regular rotation. I was not really a fan of it, Nate. It was one of those deals where I would roll my eyes as he put it in every time. You also mentioned the Railway Children, which was, that was a book that my son was into. And we have seen that movie before. So that's, it's interesting you bring that one up because I didn't realize it had a tie-in with this, but I can totally see it, like tonal wise. I can totally see these two movies being related. I saw in the opening credits, we see the director and we see the actors and stuff. And this was it said it was produced by Barry Levinson. And that had me running to my phone to wow, Barry Levinson? It's not that Barry Levinson. It's a different one. So anybody who sees that in the beginning, don't get too excited like I did. Nate pointed out to us via chat earlier yesterday, I think, that there was a remake of this movie in 2021 and the reviews are really bad. Yeah, what's up, Nate?
I think Lindsey brought that up. I didn't.
Okay,
I brought that up.
I'm trying to give you credit, Nate. Take it.
Sorry.
But yeah, a remake was made in 2021 that wasn't really that well received. And I don't know if it needed to be remade because, like I said, I adore this. That's the only notes that I have for you, Lindsey.
Yeah, it says on Wikipedia that the remake had favorable reviews, but it doesn't have a lot of information on the page to add to it. And it was released as a British series. So
I didn't catch that.
I think one of the differences in the remake is that it starts in contemporary times and goes back to 1818. It's not set in 1918. And that may have been a slight change from the book too, but I thought it was interesting that the book was called Ghosts and then they changed it to The Amazing Mr. Blunden, which well, we can talk later about the title. I think that's kind of interesting.
I think it's interesting too. Yes. I have a note about that.
All right. So as far as our cast, I'm wondering who stood out to you as being really, doing a great job at their role. Because I have some fun facts about our cast.
I've got 4 queued up here, Nate, if you want to go first.
Well, I'm going to say there's only one important cast member in the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 2. Probably just one, though. Mr. Wickens, or Wickens, is... I'm not sure if he had a single speaking line, but that was some of the most comical and, I guess, serious acting. He was just so much fun to watch whenever he was on screen. Like when he first came out, I was like, oh, this is the character that we're going to have. But then the way that he develops throughout the movie just got even funnier. And I don't know, I kind of like the guy that played the butler or henchman. I can't think of what his name was.
In Clutterbuck?
No, Clutterbuck was the guy that they went into his office.
Yeah.
Right.
But
what did the henchman do? I'm trying to think of what you mean by the henchman.
Henchman.
You don't mean Thomas, do you? The kid that would climb up the pipe?
No, not him. Not him.
Not the gardener, the gardener's son.
No, so when they were, he's pretty funny too. When they, so they get onto the truck or the car, whatever it would be at the time period. First off, the driver is hysterical. I had his whole quote written down about the beasties. And I was like, I got to sample that. I was like, I'm going to have to use that in a song or something.
Sure.
Start a song off. But no, the gentleman that speaks to the driver, that's just like, do your job, drive.
Okay, sure.
Like him, he's also the one at the end of the movie that comes and speaks with them.
Yeah, the
to say
good
the
news
estate
bearer.
is yours.
That's why I thought he was Clutterbuck, but I guess not. Okay.
Yeah, that is Clutterbuck. Mr. Clutterbuck. It is a silly name.
So I think it is the same person we're thinking of, yeah.
Okay. Well, those are really the couple people that I took note of.
I like that you root for those underdogs, Nate.
I would watch a whole movie on the driver. I just want to know what he does when he goes home. Like, he was great.
He reminded me of a character that could have been in Dark, perhaps. I don't know why. I thought he could be a character in there. But Mr. Wiccan, though, you're right. That's the first person I wrote down. It seemed like he's like a Frankenstein's monster. That's what he reminded me of. And he had like PTSD that would get triggered by these jerks in the bar, and like he would go into fighting stance. I think that's his whole deal, is like he got his head beat in as a boxer, and so he's not all with it anymore. And we see him like making this weird gross stew, and when he gets like on a murderous spree, like nothing can stop him. It's like he's unstoppable. So yeah, he's scary. And his wife, that was my number 2. I'm surprised it wasn't your number 2, Nate. Mrs. Wickens. I think she's a powerful character, and I think if this movie had gotten more widespread release, like she would be like a iconic female villainous character up there with Cruella de Vil. Like, 'cause she had like a real presence about her and real evilness about her. You wanted to hate her. And like Georgie makes a joke about wanting to poison her at one point. Like, oh, it wouldn't be a big deal if she died or something. It was, solid stuff. I love Mrs. Wiccan when she would force that underling to like correct her and say her name louder. I'm on board with it. That's who I thought you were referring to, Nate, was Mrs. Wickens, because I thought she was a more powerful, strong character than Mr. Wickens, but he's powerful in his own way.
I'll almost argue against Mrs. Wickens.
Okay.
Only because I feel that archetype and stereotype it's played out a little bit. It's the overbearing woman with sinister intent that inevitably gets her comeuppance, however you say it.
Sure.
I mean, Mr. Wickens kind of plays the Ophi moron, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
The only thing that made him more interesting in my eyes is the sinister turn that he took throughout the movie. Like, you always see like the idiots in movies always wind up doing something spectacular, so to speak.
Right.
Or they're just the henchmen. But like, we learn so much. I don't want to spoil anything. So we learn so much more towards the end of the movie. You're like, oh. So that's my argument for why he's better than
I really like those
Mrs.
overbearing type.
You don't like them, or you do like them?
I kind of like those overbearing characters that like.
We are learning a lot about Steve tonight.
I do. Like a really like overbearing, annoying character that I wouldn't be able to stand in real life, but you can like watch them on the screen and study them. And that's, I don't know. I think it's a fascinating thing to like watch these like really overly mean, overly blown, like negative characters like Mrs. Wickens. She's in my opinion, she's like a perfect archetype for what like I enjoy watching a bad person. It's not like I like her at all. Of course not. It's just I really enjoyed every time she was on screen. I fell for Mrs. Allen at the beginning. Her with her handsome haircut, her like demeanor was really pleasant. I enjoyed Mrs. Allen. I like those type of characters too. And then my fourth dude is little Georgie. He's the guy that really stood out for me. The littlest guy that turned out to be like, little sick in the stomach ghost boy that never feels good. Little scamp, gets upset a lot and like snaps a lot. And, little crappy kid, he stood out to me. I like the little crap. Mm-hmm. So who were yours, Lindsay? I know you probably watched this many times.
This is really funny that these are like your choices, but I love this. So I don't know. I like Mr. Blunden. I guess I'm basic. So I have some facts about your people. That's not the only person, but I want to transition to just little information about these people. So the driver,
sure.
I had to look that up, Nate. The driver's name was Patty Ward, and he has a lot of credits on his page. So even though he played he was on stage maybe 20 seconds, he's a very storied actor here. His most recent one was Waking Ned Devine, which I remember when that movie came out. I don't think maybe I've seen it, but he plays an Irish man in that movie. So you can see more of him if you want. Look him up. We also have Mr. Blunden is played by Lawrence Naismith, and this was his very last feature film role. He did a few television roles after that. He was in Village of the Damned and Diamonds Are Forever and the musical Scrooge as Mr. Fezziwig, which is how I know him pretty well.
Okay.
Mrs. Allen her name is Dorothy Allison, and she's actually Australian, and you wouldn't know that. She does a very good British accent, doesn't she?
Yeah. Wait, are British accents and Australian accents different? I didn't know that. I'm American, you see.
You're joking, aren't you?
I'm joking.
Okay. Lucy, I always liked her character, probably because, she's one of the main characters and she's a girl, so I kind of related to her. And she's played by Lynn Friedrich, who she's actually best known as to who she married. She married Peter Sellers, who's Peter Pan, Dr. Strangelove.
Yeah.
So he's a very famous guy, and they were married. But she's been in a lot of crazy movies as well. She was in a movie called Schizo, which is a horror film about a woman being stalked, and Prisoners of Zenda, which I haven't seen that one. But, I look at these people's IMDb page and I'm like, I've never seen these movies, so I don't really know what to say about them. But I do know Peter Sellers. Both Jamie and little Georgie, neither one of them, I believe, were ever in any movies again. So they were sort of one and dones, which is kind of usual for child actors. Mrs. Wickens. What's interesting about her is her name is Diana Dors, and she is actually a blonde bombshell that looks like Marilyn Monroe or somebody else. So it's very fun to look at her actual photographs and to think about her taking on this role. When she first I did read up about her a little bit because I saw her picture. I was like, whoa, this woman's really gorgeous. So it was kind of like, I kind of think about almost like Nicolas Cage, how, he's trying to go completely against type and show their range. When she first became an actress, it was by her husband, and he was putting her up for all of these sexy roles. So it was exploitative of her. So I think, something like this would be appealing. Once she took charge of her own career, she wanted to show her range. So that's what I think is interesting about her playing Mrs. Wickens, because she dressed up as ugly as she could for this role. Maddie Smith, who plays the blonde, now I can't remember what her name is. Bella, yes. Bella, she is in movies like The Vampire Lovers. She's in Live and Let Die and Tom Jones. So a lot of these guys were in James Bond movies.
Yeah, a British staple. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Clutterbuck is played by Eric Chitty, and he's in Doctor Who, for one. Wickens is David Lodge. I think I already said that. He has a lot of credits. A lot of these guys are just very talented character actors and were in a lot of movies. Two other people I wanted to mention, not as cast, but as production, people who were involved with the making of the movie. One is Elmer Bernstein. This is a man that does the gorgeous score that you hear. So even though you're right, Nate, some of the things don't seem high production, but I think because it was maybe going to be a musical, they hired this guy, but he's a very lauded composer. He did scores from the 10 Commandments, To Kill a Mockingbird, The Magnificent Seven, The Great Escape, True Grit. So he's won some Academy Awards.
And this score is great.
Yeah.
This score reminded me of it really strongly reminded me of Led Zeppelin. This is around the exact same time that Led Zeppelin released Led Zeppelin 4. And they had a lot of flutes on that album. And a lot of these hooks that they're playing in the flute sound a lot like the same hooks from Stairway to Heaven. So I really think that was an influence on this guy, like the modern rock scene, because, great music in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never actually sat down and listened to the score, but I did do that this week. I pulled it up and was listening to it. And even the first track that is played is, I don't know, when you guys started the movie, there was a screen that said like, this movie is monitored by the British whatever, and it's rated U for.
I was wondering what U stood for. Underage children.
I can't remember what it said, but that U stood for. But it had that funny screen, and it was playing this kind of music box sort of sounding number. And if you listen to the track, it sounds like it's skipping, almost like it wound up or records is skipping. So yeah, I was like, this is a really interesting song choice here for this little intro clip that's not even part of the movie.
Yeah.
But it's a full track. The DP, or the director of photography or cinematographer, is Jerry Fisher. And he did cinematography on movies like all the Exorcist films and Highlander. So they've got some good, people on their production team making this.
1972, what a year. What a year as well. Geniuses being born all over the place. That's the year I was born.
Okay, so yeah, we've talked about the cast and how wild these casting choices are, and when you think about how many movies these other people have been in. So I want to talk about time travel itself, Steve. So as the resident time travel expert, how is this time travel similar or different than time travel stories you have seen before?
It's completely unique. This is a completely unique way to like present time travel. Because, when you think about time travel, I mean, you think about like a great mass force being exerted and like particles reappearing somewhere else, and like a big mass force like a neutron star, a black hole, wormholes, things such as this. Or even like a time machine. The classic thing in movies is time machines, where you get inside this thing and then it takes you to another realm. This is completely unusual. This is unheard of. It's like they're drinking a witch's potion. Like they're going out and gathering berries and putting them in a drink and then drinking it. And it almost leads me to believe that they're not actually time traveling, that they're actually making some kind of like agave tequila, adding LSD to it. And they're just like imagining all these things happening, because I've never heard of a consumption of an object in order to time travel, other than the classic getting blackout drunk. Because we know that like that's a classic term, like when people say I'm time traveling, when frat boys say I'm time traveling this weekend, they're going to get blackout drunk. And that's what that means. So this is the strangest time travel. That's why it reminds me of the movie The Others with Nicole Kidman, because you don't really know if it's like a mixture of between time traveling or ghosts or whatnot. So it's completely unique in that respect. I don't know what I would have thought if I saw this as a kid, because, like I've always told you, I saw Time Bandits. I might have seen this prior to Time Bandits, because this came out, 11 years prior to it. But I've always thought of time travel as you either go through a portal or you go into a machine of some sort. Marty McFly's machine is his car, of course. Like, this is just... I don't want to say it's not well thought out or anything, but it's just a completely like writer's room kind of way of getting from point A to point B. It's like, how are we going to get these kids to time travel? Drinks? I mean, so I don't know. This is a really tough one to try to dissect in a time travel point of view, because I think it's more ghostly than time travel-y, I guess would be my final statement.
Mm-hmm. What did you think about the drinking to time travel, Nate? Or like any of the logic of the time travel itself?
It's very loose. It is a very loose system. There's only one piece of evidence that I could find that it's even about time travel at all. I mean, because of course with drinking the brown, the special tea, that can be, you could say that's time travel, but you could also just say, wow, your dealer's got some good stuff, I guess. The only piece of like real time travel evidence I saw was when they go into Mr. Clutterbuck's office. If you look, there's a calendar on the side and it says December 22nd. But at the very beginning, when Mr. Blunden shows up, and he's, oh, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas.
Good eye.
Someone says it's Christmas Day or something like that. They say something
That's
about
exactly
it
right.
being Christmas. So when they walked into the office, it's the first thing that I saw, and I was like, And then later, I was like, what if the T's not what's causing the time travel? What if there's something else? It could also just be a mistake. It could also just be someone didn't change the date to the 26th.
It can't be that. It can't be that.
No, they would never forget that. I think it's a very rough. I'll almost argue and say it's not time travel. It's time travel for a cinematic purpose. I think that they just drank some silly liquid. It also kind of it could potentially explain why at the end of we're not supposed to spoil stuff. Why the one child remained in bed a little longer than the other one. I don't know if that counts as a spoiler. Overdose. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, in a little bit we're gonna go full spoilers, but yeah.
From the time travel perspective too, that's like something else that's, it's always a theme in a movie of time travel. It's like, can you change time or can you not change time?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess what I've always kind of held on to, as to whether or not that makes sense or not, is if you go back and change time, do the people who are existing see those things happening? For example, there's a gravestone that disappears and then a memorial that appears. So at some point when time was changed, those physical gravestones and memorial had to have popped out of existence and then popped into existence.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of thing always kind of messes with my mind, how if somebody was sitting there at that moment, they would have seen that happen. If I was to do a time travel thing, I would address that. It's not addressed here because it's supposed to be just a fun, loose movie. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, counterpoint to Nate saying that they said it was Christmas.
Oh.
I mean, he said Merry Christmas, but in all fairness, starting December 1st, a lot of people start, if you go to a store, everybody says Merry Christmas, on the days leading up to Christmas. So I wouldn't say just because he said Merry Christmas that, it's the Christmas season. So it could be that he arrived on the 21st and then it's the 22nd. So I'm not sure I agree with you, but Steve's getting ready to wag his finger. Go ahead, Steve. What are you going to say?
And my counterpoint is this movie took place in 1918 and 1818.
Right.
And Christmas wasn't a 2-month long affair back then like it is now. They had the 12 days of Christmas, and that was when they celebrated Christmas. There wasn't this big, huge ramp up to Christmas, and there wasn't a consumerism to Christmas. So I kind of do believe, I got the sense that it was Christmas Eve, as a matter of fact. When Nate said Christmas, I agreed with him. Whereas in my mind, it was Christmas Eve, the day that Mr. Blunden arrived, just based on the vibe, the conversation he had with the little girls before he went in. And so, December 2nd, I got to disagree.
No, it's 22nd.
Right, but he said on the calendar, Nate said on the calendar, it said December 2nd, right?
22nd.
Oh, 22nd. Well, then yes, it could be part of the 12 days of Christmas. Disregard everything I just said.
Even though the 12 days of Christmas actually started on December 25th, not ended. So, anyway.
Doubly wrong then. Okay. Glad you invited me.
Logic-wise, I agree that it's because the other thing is that the graves, exactly. The gravestones that were there, that would indicate that they did die, so.
Right.
It's something we talk a lot about with the Dark podcast about how you have, in order to be a successful time travel show or movie that stands under critical evaluation from adults, you can probably project just about anything, but you do have to set up the rules and abide by them and follow them.
Right.
And so that this movie not doing that really lets me know is another reason why I do think it really geared more towards children, because especially in scenes, I'm going to go ahead and say we can do spoilers now since I'm talking and I want to say something.
They all die.
But just the way that it's filmed too, with, the scene with the library, for instance, and the kids turn around and they're like, nobody can see, that I'm like gesticulating wildly with my mouth wide open.
Right.
But the whole thing is they want to kind of establish this feeling of childlike wonder, like, wow, the library is lighting up, and wow, there's a charm to move the wheel of time. I mean, didn't that excite you, Steve, when that was said?
I paused the screen and took a picture of it. Yes, it certainly did.
Yeah, that was wild. See, just a little detour for a second about the fact they said the wheel of time. I was like, wait a second, when were those books written? And this is before that. So then I was off on like a rabbit hole about the phrase, the wheel of time, and how it's from Hinduism. And
Sure.
Steve, do you know what's the origin of the phrase wheel of time outside of the books?
I honestly don't know, because the first I ever heard of it was when the Grateful Dead did a song called Eyes of the World in like the early 80s. And Eyes of the World, I came to realize, was part of a book series called The Wheel of Time. And that's the first time, sometime in the late 80s or early 90s, I guess it had to have been early 90s, that I ever heard of that even phrase, the Wheel of Time. So for me, it's only tied in with the book. And you just informed me that it predates the book. I know this show this movie we're watching now predates it by at least 18 years. So that was my first thought too. I was like, they're talking about the Wheel of Time. And I was like, well, maybe Robert Jordan watched this, because Robert Jordan's about my age. So he might have watched this when he was a kid and, got that inspiration from that. But yeah, like you said, that you were making the thing about the library and how the kids and the wonderment. That's what they said. They said that they personified the library. And they said that since they found the library is pleased now. And they made the library happy by like restating it. So yeah, it was a lot of wonderment happening here.
Yeah. So going back to time travel really quick. So I was curious, and I'm sure Steve has thought about this before, but we're going to give it to Nate first. But if you could time travel in any way, since they kind of made something up, I guess, apparently with drinking poison, or not poison, but drinking things that could be possibly poisoned. If you could time travel in a way, what way would you invent?
Well, first I want to give them credit, because I've definitely time traveled the way that they have before when I was in college. Personally, though, not using in college Natty Light as my my vehicle for transportation through time, I would probably do. It's probably going to sound super boring, but I think it's more for convenience. If you could just go through like portals, is that what we mean? Like just something ethereal, like a portal, just step through it. And I don't know if my snap got picked up, but just boom, you're there. I don't want to have to drink the nasty, garden weeds liquid. I don't want to have to do some kind of ritual. Let me just walk through the doorway, and all of a sudden we're in, World War I.
I'm going to pass it to you, Steve, obviously, but I will say one thing about portals, though, is I have noticed from the ones I've watched where there are portals involved, sometimes going through the portals is a little unsettling. Sometimes you might have you might have some G-force going on there, or get shaken around a bit. So maybe there's a better way. I don't know. Steve, what do you think? Have you thought about this before?
Absolutely. My podcast, Sweet Child of Time, we're talking about Time Bandits right now. We're talking to the cast and crew of Time Bandits. So I've got all kinds of thoughts about this. Yes, portals are great. The portals in Time Bandits, like you said, Lindsey, they're not always convenient. Sometimes you have to jump off of a cliff to get into a portal, or you have to dive into the ocean to get into a portal. You can't see where you're going to be stepping out. So it's an act of faith going through it. And sometimes it hurts when you come through the other side. People have died doing this in the world of Time Bandits. So you got to be careful. I would prefer a portal that you can see the other side, that you can like look through the portal and maybe they can see you and you can see them, similar to in Dark. We've seen that happen a couple of times with a couple of characters. That's what I would prefer, so I could see where I'm stepping into and see what I'm getting into. So portals definitely seem like the way to go. If you have these machines, they take a lot of mechanisms and a lot of mechanics and a lot of stuff. I don't know how to build these machines and how to operate and maintain them. I think a portal is the way. I will say that, like Nate, I was completely sober, 100%. But I have taking place with a group of people, a little time travel adventure. We were at a concert, and it was the last day of the year, December 31st. It was my wife and myself, my friend Meg, and a couple of other people went and saw Gwar for New Year's Eve concert. And I know I keep talking about Gwar, but it has to do with this hand in hand, because they were playing a tune and you could see a clock behind them and it was 12 o'clock. Then they played another tune, and before you know it, it's like 12:10. And then the drummer turns around and he's like, I think we missed the ball drop. So everybody in the room agreed to time travel back. We set the clock back, and everybody in the room agreed that now it is 11:59 and we're going to count down the new year together. So we all time traveled together, about 400 of us, 11 minutes. So I've successfully done this. So I'm an expert in the field. So that's how you time travel, Lindsay.
Well, I think...
Not impressed?
Whoa.
You know...
That means that I've time traveled when you're 5-6 minutes late for work and you go to write your time down. You're like, ooh, time travel. I was here.
You got paid for that time too, right? That proves it.
Time travel. I can prove time travel with my time clock, my time sheet.
I'm ready to share an idea I had that I think would be nice. I think it'd be great is if you had a cat that when you pet the cat, it takes you where you want to go.
Oh, I love that idea. Okay. Can I one up it and say a horse? You have a horse, and when you jump on the horse's back,
Steve,
what?
Where are you going to put the horse?
You like the cat? In the stable. The
cat's much more accessible. The cat, you just you throw some friskies on the ground and pick them up when you need to go somewhere. The horse, you have to go outside. You got to pet him or brush him or whatever the activation charge is going to be. And then when you get to your new destination, you have to bring the horse.
Yeah. Well, you bring the cat too.
Yeah, the cat's
next
easy.
Next thing you know, Steve's going to be like, how about an elephant?
Well, I think a cat's a charming idea. It's wonderful. I love cats. My favorite animal. However, you'd have to be carrying it around all the time, and cats don't like being carried. Cats don't like traveling outside of their half square mile perimeter.
Well, this would be, obviously, it would be a very special cat, like the cat in A Quiet Place Day One that wouldn't leave your side. It's kind of an anxiety therapeutic cat, so because the idea is to keep you calm. So I think we're picturing different kinds of cats. I'm not going to take Pico. I need a new cat that's trained in time travel, obviously.
A Quiet Place cat is good too, because if there was a dog in A Quiet Place, that would not have worked too well. He would have barked and gotten killed.
Yeah. Okay, so going back to the movie itself, we're now in spoiler territory. So I'd like to know just what really worked for you guys or didn't work. Did the movie work for you overall? Steve loves it. Nate is could take or leave it. But let's think about the qualities of the movie, things we really liked, things we think were no bueno.
So I liked how whimsical it could be, and it was fairly comical in different parts. The little quips that some of the characters had were enjoyable. The character stereotypes, or archetypes rather, were fairly enjoyable. I would say that if I was anywhere between the age of 10 to, I'll say 8 to 12, I would probably enjoy this movie. I wouldn't have been as critical as I was today about it.
Well, Nate, you do often say that your sensibilities are like a child, so I thought you would like it.
Well, see, and this is the reason why this movie's gotten a better review from me than the ones previous.
JSC. Yeah, well, what can you do? I like the writing a lot too. You're right about the whimsical writing. I wrote down some of my favorite phrases, which we've already said a couple of them. A charm to move the wheel of time. The library is pleased. Say your prayers and ask God to forgive you. That was a pretty harsh thing that what's his name said. What was their uncle's name again? Uncle
Bertie.
Uncle Bertie. Yeah, he was kind of a bit of a bastard, we would say. I did like his phrase that he said, financially, I'm hopelessly embarrassed, which is another good phrase he said. There was some things that I didn't like. What didn't work like I said before, the obvious changing of these objects, like the gravestone turned into a memorial for Mr. Blunden. I didn't quite get why Mr. Blunden was amazing, really. It's like he's kind of helping out like in a offhandish lawyery kind of way. And he's not even responsible for all this. Like the kids are the ones who are doing all the work and all the sharing of the knowledge. And they're getting the book to help them. But Mr. Blunden's just kind of, I don't know, just kind of like a muse of some sort. So I think the movie is misnamed. I don't know if I'd call it The Amazing Mr. Blunden. I think, the original title, The Ghosts, would probably be much better. One thing that made me nervous was when they were scaring Miss Wickens by moving objects around. This was, I guess, Jamie and Lucy doing this. Mm-hmm. And they were trying to get the keys from Miss Wicken. And then they have her like laying on the banister. And then like they start taking off her belt. I was like, oh my God, this is wild. So I thought that really like freaked me out. I'm glad it didn't go anywhere else beyond that.
This is a family show, Steve.
I know. That's why I was so scared. The peril that these kids were in too. Like this is pretty scary. Like we said, this is all pretty tame stuff. The wedding's a little bawdy, but like this whole fire and like walking through the flames and how long it took for them to walk through the flames and to run back in the building and how long they were in the building for. I think that's probably why you saw an hour-long version, because they edited out all those blank moments as Lucy stared at the fire for 10 minutes waiting for what's his name to come back out.
Those are the parts edited out. It was stuff like Uncle Bertie doing Grecian urns with Bella in the bedroom, stuff like that, where it was edited out.
Well, then they missed the whole scene where Bella gets to yell at the kids. The last scene that I really enjoyed a lot, which I thought was just hilarious, was when Lucy sneaks out during the prayers, and then like a little kid like sees her sneaking out, and he tries to sneak out of church too, and his mom grabs him by the collar. Little moments like that. There were lots of little moments, lots of charming dialogue. If the movie starts out slow, if anybody's listening that hasn't seen it and wants to check it out, the first 10 or 15 minutes are a little slow. And once it picks up, it stays up. It's a really entertaining movie once you get past the first like introduction part, which is not terribly slow, but just not as interesting as it gets about 15, 20 minutes in.
I really disagree with that. What you're saying there with the introduction. I don't think it starts slow at all. It starts with Mr. Blunden. Well, they leave the house. Then Mr. Blunden's walking through London, and you've got these kids like going, wallflower, flying up so high. All the little children, they are going to die. I feel like it sets a mood right away. And then Mr. Blunden goes to the house. So it's not like we're waiting for something to happen. And I love the scene when he goes to the house and all the things they say. We would help if we could, wouldn't we, Jamie? And the music is just so creepy. So I'm not sure what you think is dull about that intro scene, because I just love. I think it starts out very strong, and for me, the movie just has a lot of atmosphere. And these are the kinds of movies I still like today. When I like horror movies, I don't tend to like the gruesome gore ones. I like the ones that are really suspenseful and just put you on edge. And so this had so much atmosphere in it, but this fairy tale feel, and that even though the rules of magic don't work, you're just kind of brought into the moment. But there is humor at the same time. So that's also entertaining. I like the scene when they meet Sarah and Georgie and they kind of appear out of the fog. And then Sarah is telling her this story of, they say like, well, start with Once Upon a Time. That's how all good stories start. And she starts to tell them the story. And what she's saying isn't matching the images on the screen. Like she says, Uncle Bertie takes an interest in the ballet and he's going to this brothel and watching the girls dance. Or I can't remember what else she said, but she says something else. And it's like that disconnect between what kids have been told and like what is actually happening.
Yeah, the romantic wedding and the way that he proposed to her. Yeah. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I think maybe your lens might be slightly different because maybe you're like building up, like when you see these first scenes, you're like hitting the nostalgia, like I know what I'm going to see next. I remember seeing this. Whereas I guess for me, and we got to get a third opinion in here too, it just seems like I'm waiting for things to happen. So the little girl singing didn't do anything for me. Him walking through the streets, he didn't really go anywhere, really. I mean, I was just waiting for things to happen. So in my opinion, the first thing that happened was when the ghosts appeared, and then they start going into the backstory. And then
so you didn't care at all about meeting the family or going to the office to
I was
get
watching
the
it.
job and
I was
the
on
driver.
board. It hadn't really caught my interest. What the driver was saying about the beasties and stuff, I was paying close attention to that because I was like, that's probably whatever he's saying is probably true. That's like usually the rule of the movie. So I was paying attention to what he was saying, but maybe like when they first arrived at the house and you saw the birds fly out, the dilapidated living room, and I started thinking about Grey Gardens, and then soon thereafter the ghost kids appear. That's when I was in, but I wasn't really, fully in. We were podcasting about it, so I was paying close attention. But I always like to think about, like, if I wasn't podcasting, would I, would this movie catch my eye, and would I keep up with it all the way through? I like to think I would. I know, like, once I got to a certain point, I like absolutely loved it. But yeah, it took me a little bit to get to that point. And we got to get a third opinion in here, Nate. What's your thoughts about this, the beginning of the movie versus the end of the movie?
The beginning of the movie, honestly, was probably more intriguing and captured more of my attention than the end of the movie.
Okay.
Strange bald man walking down the streets in December to go greet an odd family who unfortunately had just lost their father. Go to this address. And I'm pretty sure that he mentions spirits or something has gone awry when he meets them initially. So I was more taken with that than I was the end of the movie, because there's nothing more that I hate than a happy ending. So, the end of the movie when it's like, oh, little Benji, everything's going to be great. We have money and the house is awesome, even though it looks like hell. Like, that doesn't, it resolves. And I guess for a child, it resolves nicely. But I still think that the beginning was a pretty good hook. Like, if you would scale that to a more adult audience, perhaps with, I want to say, higher stakes, or put it in a more dire tone, I would be sold. I would watch that movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I just like the part when she leaves the room and he starts having the conversation with just the kids, and the way he talks to them and is like, oh, I suppose they used to be able to see the spirits, but they, do you think you believe in ghosts? And
right.
Well, it would depend on what kind of ghost, sir? Just the way that they're taking it so seriously, and he treats them with respect. And so, yeah, I've always really liked the house scene. And it does, like you said, Nate, it ties up very neatly at the end, but that is appropriate for a kid's movie. So, but I'm with you. I don't like, the ending feels a little rushed once we get there. But yeah, what were you going to say?
I did just have a thought. So the children were on the property when they were time traveling. Mr. Blunden was not on the property because at the end he shows up in the carriage,
That's
correct?
Right. That's right.
So in this universe, does that mean that if you drink the liquid, you can go anywhere at any time?
I think 100 years is the limit. You go exactly 100 years back. That's what happened with them. So I don't know.
I don't think it was that Mr. Blunden.
That's right. There was two of him. That's right.
Because he was talking to the guy kept saying there was one that was in bed and hadn't been feeling well, and he didn't realize that he had taken an interest in the matter, that the one in the picture was 100 years old, but there was another Mr. Blunden. So I just thought it was the heir, Mr. Blunden, but his spirit had somehow survived. Yeah, it was confusing. I didn't really understand the ending in some ways, but I didn't really have to.
Yeah,
But yeah, go ahead, Nate.
No, it resolves all the same. It's just I would like to Did they just recycle the actor to use the current day Mr. Blunden? Is that supposed to be a different one? How did the Mr. Blunden in the time travel when they went back to 1818, why was he still there?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a tad bit confusing to me. See?
Any thoughts, Steve?
Yeah, our time travel expert.
I guess that was the Mr. Blunden in the Mr. Blunden from the painting. That was him that showed up for that little dinner party in 1818, I suppose. And he still had the old Mr. Blunden ways. And then, like, when the new Mr. Blunden went into his consciousness, that's when he became nice. In the 1918 Mr. Blunden. I don't know, really.
Yeah, because Mr. Clutterbuck is the one that said that guy is dead, but I mean, so I guess you're saying but that Mr. Blunden died. He died either way because he was dead. But then in the other world, once they resolved things, he died in the fire. So it couldn't be that same Mr. Blunden.
They helped him time travel. Like he was dependent on the kids to do this mission, so he himself could ride on their coat heels and cash in on this fortune by being their lawyer.
I'm just saying this movie would have been 15 minutes long if we would have just had the truck driver go back. He would have fixed everything because he would have seen the ghost because you can only see him if you have a childish mind. That guy sounded like he didn't pass third grade, so childish. It would have been great. And you know what? If he needed a buddy, a little tag team duo.
He didn't pass third grade.
The sexton was definitely a little off his rocker. I've met some sextons when I was in mortuary school. All of them, the screws are a little loose. Screws are a little loose. This whole thing would have been fixed.
All right.
Yeah, I did enjoy the sexton.
Sure. Yeah. He's like a honorable dude, more or less. He was Thomas's father, right? Isn't that what the relation was there?
No, but he told him about the gardener's son that tried to save them.
Okay, yeah, that's right. And Thomas is the gardener's son. Good old Thomas.
He wasn't even the gardener. He was the gardener's son.
He was the gutter climber. He was good at that.
Yeah. So I'm ready to move on to themes, but did you guys have any other aspects of the story you wanted to bring up to either mock or laud?
I mean, I had tons of notes here. Like, for example, like how he kept calling his wife his little sausage. Don't know what kind of term of endearment that's supposed to be, but that's what he called her, his sausage. My sausage. At least
will be changing our group chat name to Little Sausages.
My little sausages.
I mean, it is time to change the group name. Goat Lovers has lived out its purpose.
I guess so. I like hanging on to things for a long time, though. We could keep it there forever. But yeah, I have lots of notes, but they're all just basically the same thing. Like I love this line of dialogue. I love this person. It's a good movie to watch. I'm glad you got us on board here, personally, because it feels like I should have seen this before.
I feel like your childhood was failed.
Damn.
No, you became who you were, so
Exactly.
Here we are, and I got to introduce you to a movie, so that's a first for me.
Is it? Nah.
All right, so themes. What themes can we pull out of this movie? I know you guys said it's not that deep, but what do you think? Are there any lessons we can pull out of this? Steve's shaking his head. No.
I mean, I wrote down 3. I'm waiting for Nate, though. I want to give Nate a chance first.
Morality is probably one. Mental health awareness. It's probably 2.
Yeah.
Can you say more about both of those? What do you mean by morality?
So morality would be like Mr. Blunden, good Mr. Blunden, helping take down and realizing the errors of old Mr. Blunden to listen to the kids and things like that, to right the wrongs. And, to right the wrongs applies to the kids as well. They have a good moral compass, so they were willing to trip on the strange brown liquid to help the ghost children. Mental health awareness would obviously be for Mr. Wickens, because he definitely had a heavy case of CTE with being a boxer and probably being beaten by his wife. What
is CTE for those uninformed?
CTE is a
cranial trauma.
Yeah, it's an illness of the brain caused by the production of tau proteins, tau, TAU, that essentially cause your brain to shrink, and then you deal with a bunch of things like depression, suicidal thoughts, fits of rage, things like that. Chris Benoit is, of course, the biggest case of CTE. To give anyone any kind of reference. It is also 1918, so potentially, we also can discuss World War I was getting ready to wrap up, or had wrapped up at that point.
Oh, right, so, sure.
Could also be a matter of veterans' affairs. Who knows? The truck driver could have been in the trenches. I think that those are really... is time travel a theme? I don't want to sound silly, but... Those would probably be my big two. So let's hear it, Steve.
Those are good ones.
I wrote down phrases as themes. Maybe I'm not good at this. One of my phrases is, only kids and adults with children's minds can experience the fantastical. It seems like a theme that's common in a lot of movies. It's like the little kids can see all the, ghosts and like the fantastic stuff and believe in Peter Pan, for example. And like once you're grown up, you can't do that anymore. I think this kind of plays along with that Peter Pan theme. Another theme is like time travel, going back in time to change things, to make things better. And in this case, to make yourself rich. You go back in time and you can help out your family in many ways. And I don't know if this is like in opposition to that or if it goes in tandem with that. But traveling forward in time and asking the future to help you with your dire situation here in the past. That's something we also see in time travel movies. Not as predominant as traveling to the past, but yeah, traveling to the future. We need your help in the past. Only you can do it. So most of my themes I'm picking up are tied in with children and time travel. How about yourself, Lindsey?
That's a really good point, Steve. I actually forgot about that. This gets into, you were talking about the movie The Others, you were talking about ghosts. And, there's kind of the twist as part of Ghosts. But in this show, for Sarah and Georgie, Lucy and Jamie were almost the ghosts. Like when they get brought to the past, they're like, nobody can see us. We've become the ghosts. And that was something that kind of struck me. I didn't quite get a coherent thought about what does that mean then? But I guess it's all a matter of perspective. Somebody could tell a completely different story. In the same way that with the Christmas Carol, this story is almost like if one of the people Scrooge mistreated, Ebenezer Scrooge mistreated, we told the story from their perspective and they got to see Mr. Scrooge before and after. But yeah, it was interesting how the kids from the past used the future. And so, yeah, it's both things happen. So I think my themes, some of them were similar to Nate's, redemption, that redemption is possible, second chances, everyone deserves a second chance. But also with the war widow, Mrs. Allen, obviously at the beginning of the movie, they have to leave their house because the husband had died in the field. And so they're now poor and their life has changed, but their good luck was just around the corner. They got this opportunity. And then at the end, not only did they have this cottage rent free and she has a job and can provide her kids, but they're now become the inheritors of this estate. So it's almost like just when you think you've fallen on hard times and things are at their worst, your good luck is just around the corner. It's a very hopeful story in that way. Believe children. Mr. Blunden fails because he doesn't listen to Sarah and Georgie. And so when he goes to correct this, he goes to talk to children and he has to earn the trust of Jamie that he's going to hold his hand in the fire and that he's going to fulfill his promise. Because he told him, no matter what, I promise you, no harm will befall you, which is a line I love and that I didn't mention. So he sort of has to, he fails these children. They no longer trust him. So in order for him to right that wrong, he has to redo the things he failed to do before. So that was a great theme also. And to maybe just slow down, look at the people around you. Mr. Blunden didn't have time for the kids or their nonsense.
That's right.
So there's kind of, hey, take a moment, when somebody asks you for help, take a moment to hear them out and don't just dismiss people asking for help. And there's one more I want to bring up, which is a little controversial, I think, but I didn't make it up myself. I noticed somebody else brought it up, but I thought would be interesting discussion. With some exceptions in this movie, the good people are wealthy and the bad people are working class. The exceptions obviously are like Tom. He's a good guy that tries to help Sarah and Georgie, but all the people that are like good seem to be in the wealthier class. And then, Wickens, Mrs. Wickens and all them, and Uncle Bertie, they're all broke, basically.
Well, aren't they isn't Miss Wickens didn't she fire them all? She came on only because of she's the fact that she's what's her name's mom. So she's kind of like the evil stepmother kind of deal.
Yeah. It's insinuated that they thought she would marry, they kind of encouraged her to marry Bertie because they thought he had money because he owned, he was the...
Right. That's what I was going to say is it seems like she's kind of, even though she's poor, she's actually grubbing after money big time, I think, right?
Yeah, it's insinuated, I think, that they were after the money.
Yeah, but... Yeah, I can see what you're saying. Even the ones who turn out to be the richest, which turns out to be Lucy and Jamie, right? Don't they turn out to be no, I'm sorry, not them. The kids from 1818, Sarah and Georgie. They're the ones who turn out to be the richest.
They have money.
They inherit the fortune. And yeah, Georgie's the trust fund kid or whatever you want to call him. So yeah, and he's a really compassionate kid for the most part, especially his sister. I didn't really think about that. So I'm thinking about it now. I'm kind of dissecting this idea because usually, yeah, the poor people are the ones in the right and the rich people are evil. It must have been a rich person who wrote this movie. Barry Levinson.
But yeah, I mean I'm not saying I agree with that. It was just something somebody brought up, but they're like, oh, I guess we need to talk about this. But you could say the Allens don't really have money, although it turns out they do, but that you don't find that out until the end, that they are actually, inheriting this estate.
I thought it was rude how Mr. Blunden came in the beginning of the movie and was kind of turning his nose up at their house. Oh, this is your house, huh? It was he kind of made some kind of snide remark about that. But, after you see the movie, you realize that that's kind of a plot point they kind of put in your head early. He recognizes that they're poor and he's like, I've got this opportunity for you guys. I can get y'all out of here. So,
yeah. He says for the children's sake, but I don't think he's rude about it. He does. I think it's interesting.
Right. He wasn't rude, but I thought it was the first time I saw it. It kind of struck me weird.
I did think it was interesting how he says, she offers him a chair and then she offers him tea and he says he can't drink the tea.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it's because he's a ghost, he can't drink the tea, but it doesn't dawn on you
exactly
until later.
Yeah.
But he could sit in a chair, which was interesting. Okay, well, I guess the final thing I wanted to ask you guys about was this outro. When at the end of the movie, all the actors get together and they wave goodbye. Thank you for coming. Bye-bye, everybody. I don't know. It's so unusual, but I've always thought that was really fun. But I wanted to ask you guys what you thought about it.
I stuck around and watched the whole thing because I was like, are we going to get something extra after all this? And we did not. So I was like, well, there goes a minute and a half I won't get back. But it was goofy. I would be pretty bummed if modern movies started doing that. I don't know. I wouldn't want to be watching it and then Bill Skarsgård pops up and is just like, goodbye. I'd be like, I've watched the credits. I know who you are. I don't want to see that. I thought it was too goofy.
I disagree. I love when shows do that. I'm thinking of two shows right now, Time Bandits and Dark, where you see some behind the scenes stuff and you see these characters and they're acting like themselves, but they're in the visage of their character. And I kind of love that. I love them all waving goodbye in their little pairs, in their little units. I think all movies should do this. I think the ending credits is a missed opportunity. And some of the best ending credits would be movies The Hangover comes to mind, where the whole movie, this guy is taking pictures. And then during the credit sequence, you get to see all the pictures on a slideshow that he took throughout the movie. And Super Troopers, the end of the movie, the whole end of the movie is just a long vignette of one of the characters completely losing his mind in character. But it's you're still watching the scene. So I really enjoy like when you see something at the end like this. And it reminded me of a play. Like, you know, like when you go to like a play and like all the characters come out and take a bow and you applaud them one at a time, or they come out like in their little groups like they did here. It kind of felt like we were like at a play, like at a theater or something. I mean, I was smiling the whole time I was watching this, and some of these people made me laugh the way they said goodbye. I don't know. I was 100% on board. I liked it.
I think there's like an age difference here because I listened to, of course, another podcast that was going to talk about Mr. Blunden it was called Real Britannia.
Okay.
So it was like 3 British guys, and the 2 people that were our age, Steve, really liked it, and the younger guy did not like it, and that's what we're doing. So I'm wondering if it's, I should, we should do a survey and see, like, is there an age difference? Like, do the young people all hate it, and then the older people are like, isn't that quaint? But it was funny because you mentioned the example of it, Nate, but they were mentioning, like, can you imagine if after The Wicker Man this happened?
Yeah.
Wow, Nate, you're right on board with these guys. Are you two-timing us?
Which made me laugh. Yeah, so that's really all I have on this movie, guys. So
is this time where we like wave and say goodbye? Bye-bye.
I'm ready to move into plugs if you guys are.
Nate first, as usual.
Me? Oh, man.
Yeah.
All right. Everyone, please follow Voidmaster, which is at void.master on Instagram to keep up with updates on the new album, The Dank Arts, coming in 2025. And also follow at A Doom Cult for a fun blend of Appalachian horror and doom music. It's Appalachian Doom Cult. It is the current band that I'm playing with out here in Pittsburgh.
Nice. And
that's all I have. On to you, Steve.
That's breaking news for me. I need to check out this Appalachian Doom Cult thing. My podcast, Sweet Child of Time, we're currently doing Time Bandits. We've interviewed some of the main cast and some of the stunt performers. Been having a great time with that. I'd like to plug my band as well, Intro Void. We're not on hiatus. We're still working on a song that will be out anytime now. The most recent stuff I've done has been with Lindsey Dunn, sitting over there. She's provided vocals for the last 3 Intro Void things that I've done. You can check all that stuff out at sweetchildoftime.com and check out this Appalachian Doom Cult.
I know.
How about you, Lindsey?
Well, that reminds me of Ashes of Appalachia. That's like the title of one of your tracks, but it's with a different, I guess that's your solo project. Yeah. So anyway, me, obviously you can find all of my stuff at One of My Stories or oneofmystories.com. It's very simple. I am still working on my pilgrimage interviews, which I am hopelessly behind on all of that. But my most recent review, if you like to enjoy it, would be about the horrible movie Caligula. So if you want to really hear me rant about a movie exquisitely, I actually did a lot of research about why I hate Caligula. So it's very informed. It's a very informed article, even though it's a negative one. Spoiler alert, I did not like this movie. But it is there was research done on it. I haven't had so much fun writing a negative review in a while. So I recommend you check that one out.
Lindsey's a hater now. Cool.
And just for everybody listening, I will be watching Caligula and releasing my own podcast about how much I love it.
If you record it, Nate, I will listen because I listened to several podcasts about Caligula as part of my research. So it's a movie a lot of people like.
No way.
All right. So with that, I think it's time to close. It's been very fun. But I think we should all give a nice little wave and a goodbye before we leave. So this is One of My Stories signing off. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.